Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and we're going to be talking about my sexuality. And I'm sitting next to a church, which I think is quite is kind of relevant in this case. But yeah, so I will say it quickly that I am. Why do I feel like I'm disconnected from the LGBTQIA+ community? Well, because I don't know where I am. I guess that you'd be Q for questioning and queer, but like it's hard for me to relate to other people in that community because so many people have like clear ideas of like who they are and what they want. Well, for me it's like, okay, I don't know. And it feels like the more I grow up, the less I know, and I didn't know much from the start. Okay, so I've talked about this before on my channel several times, but I only figured out that I was gay when I turned 18 and I moved to Sweden and I started seeing gay people for the first time. Like, I didn't even really know what gay people looked like. My mom has a cousin who's gay. I had a math teacher who was gay, but he was also a creep, so I didn't have a great idea of what gay people were. Later on in my life, a lot of, a few of the girls in my class ended up becoming bi or, but very few actually. Most girls I was friends with, I wasn't friends with a lot of the guys. Most girls I was friends with ended up, like, they're married now or they have had a long-term boyfriend. I know of two people who are bi, one that's lesbian, for sure. Otherwise, I don't know of any others. And it's like, is it because they grew up in such a repressed environment like I did? Or was it because I truly was one of the only gays? I don't know. And I have talked to another girl who's bisexual, but I only know of one, maybe two people who are interested in dating girls out of my whole childhood, really. And then there's another girl who I was best friends with in first grade, who is lesbian, right? But I'm the only person without any real relationship experience out of all of the people that I know. There was a rabbit, a hare. So I have dating experience. I have dated a few times, not many times, but a few. And I realize, yeah, I'm not interested in that. And now that I know that I'm autistic, I also know that, yeah, it's not a coincidence that I ended up being asexual, and it's not because of trauma that I ended up asexual, but it could have been. I don't have great experiences with men, but I wasn't like traumatized either. So in a way, I thought that I was a lesbian because I wasn't interested in men, because I was a little bit wary of men. That was kind of how it was in 2018. But I knew that I had a certain kind of deeper attraction to women, right? That's kind of how it was when I was 18. However, I thought that I was bisexual because I didn't have the confirmation that I did not like guys. So I figured, okay, so I'm bisexual, right? I watched Sherlock, and then I related a lot to John Watson, who, in my opinion, is bisexual. But, so my idea was that, okay, so I was a bisexual. Then I realized, well, actually, since I'm 90% into girls, then I'm guessing that I'm a lesbian. So I went on several dates with girls throughout the years, and it's like, it's nice, but it's not like I understand the process of dating, really. And now I know it's because of my autism. I don't understand what are you supposed to do? You know, like, it doesn't help to watch a TV series and know what they do in the movies. Like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. And it's like, what am I supposed to be feeling? Like, what am I supposed to be feeling after our first date? And what am I supposed to be feeling on the second date? And what are we supposed to be doing? And the fact that I have to think about what I'm supposed to instead of actually feeling things made me not want to continue the experience, you know? And it's like, yeah, so it was nice to, I don't like meeting new people, but it was nice to, you know, have a coffee with some person and get to know somebody new, I guess. But it wasn't like fun. Like, I didn't want to do it again. And yeah, so, but it was like, it was pleasant. It wasn't bad. It was just that I didn't get what everybody who thinks that it's exciting to go on a date. I don't get that excitement of going on a date. I do get nervous, but I don't feel excitement. And I don't feel the tingles and all that. So I've come to the conclusion, and also, like, I don't look at people and think like that person is hot, or I want to kiss that person, I want to have sex with that person, like share a bed with that person. I don't want to do any of that. There are people that I see and I'm like, oh, I would like to be friends with that person really badly, you know? And when I do become friends, I sometimes develop kind of a unhealthy special interest kind of thing, of like limerence, where like I'm kind of get really obsessed with a person, but that's not romantic attraction, sexual attraction. It's not that, because I'm not interested in doing anything with that person. You know, maybe I'd like to hug them. Yeah, maybe I'd like to hug them, pretty much. So, yeah, so that's where I came to the conclusion that I'm asexual, and I'm on the aromantic spectrum. And I've come back around to thinking, well, so maybe I'm biromantic. Maybe I'm interested in both genders, but I'm gray romantic. Like, I experience attraction very seldom with very few people, and all I want to do is basically maybe hug them and go on a date with them, I guess, because it would be fun to talk and be intimate, not physically, but intimate in sharing our thoughts. So that's kind of where I'm at. So, you know, maybe I wasn't completely wrong in thinking that I was bisexual, because I don't feel that specific, very deep attraction very often. And when I do, I have to be careful of, like, is it just a special interest in a person, or is it actual attraction? And I think but I'm not against, like, I do feel like I'm attracted to girls that are strangers, but I don't care to go further with it, you know? So I might see a nice looking girl on the bus or something, and I'll be like, huh, you know, cool. I'm glad I saw this person today. But it's like, it doesn't seem like my experience is really what everybody else is experiencing. So that's why it's more, for me, I feel like I'm on the aroace spectrum, and I get more of that attraction towards girls than towards men, and I have no intention of ever dating a man, even though I might very seldom find him attractive. So it's better, like for me in my mind, it's more useful for me to think like, okay, so I'm not going to be dating any man. But dating a woman is not completely off the table, but it's not really in the cards right now. Because right now I'm more interested in like my career and all that, and also like I would have to find a girl who's not interested in or like who understands asexuality, you know. And I'm not against the idea of ever having sex ever in my life, but I do find it a very strange concept to me. And once again, I think that my autism is kind of, you know, autistic people, you know, have sex all the time. There are all sorts of, like, I'm not saying that every, but I mean, you know, autism is a spectrum, once again. Aroace is also a spectrum. So everybody has a different experience, right? But I feel like my experience is kind of unique because I haven't found anybody who has described this experience that I'm talking about. So it does feel kind of lonely and alienating because it's like people talk about sex a lot, you know. It doesn't seem like it if you relate to that kind of thing, I guess. But if you don't relate to that kind of thing like me, then it's like the world is a very strange place and people are very strange, you know? And it's not like I'm trying to be a special snowflake or whatever. Yes, I was part of the 2015 Mogai movement on Tumblr, which you know, had a lot of these micro labels for all sorts of different sexual and romantic attraction, you know, the split attraction model and all of that. I don't know, I think that the split attraction model is slightly useful for me in that I think of myself for the moment as asexual, but grayace and biromantic, right? Because I can find people romantically, like I want to be with this person romantically or a romantic attraction. I'm not against the idea of relationships and all that. It's just that I do meet a kind of resistance about sex and that kind of thing. I find that I would have to meet a really, really, really special person for me to even consider having sex with that person, you know? And as of yet, I haven't had that idea where like, I possibly could want to have sex with that person. That has never happened to me. It hasn't even happened to me with you know, a character. However, that doesn't mean I don't have a sex drive because I take care of myself, let's just say, and I like it. That's not the case for a lot of asexual people, but for me, it's like I'm fine with that. I do read erotic fan fiction. I do watch porn. I won't go into more details about that, but I'm just saying that people seem to associate things together that don't always go together, and I think especially in a neurodivergent mind, we don't think in the same conventional way, so our attraction might be affected by that because we don't adhere to the social constructs of things, because the social constructs are constructed by the society, which is neurotypical. So I am adverse, so I have sensory issues, so like sensory wise, people coming close to me is very hard. I'm okay with hugs, I love hugs, but I don't like people putting their hands on, you know, my arm or my leg. I don't like it. If somebody is, even my best friend, I get grossed out by his sweaty palms, and he's trying to comfort me by touching me on the arm. I dislike it. I accept it because I understand that he's my friend, and I understand as a part of affection, and I like that he's trying to do that, but it doesn't change the fact that I don't enjoy the touch. And so for me, I can't imagine somebody touching me even more privately, because it just that's going too far, and I don't know, and so I have been wondering all this time, like, am I asexual because I'm scared, and sure, there might be some element of fear in it, because there's the fear of getting hurt, the fear of getting into a conflict with a partner, a romantic partner or a sexual partner, having to deal with a whole new communication area that I'm not used to, which is very scary, right? But it's also not something I desire, and you're supposed to, or once again I'm saying supposed to, the whole thing about relationships and sexual encounters and all that, from what I understand, is that you need to want to do it in the first place. And it's like, I'm not getting the vibe of wanting to do it ever. And so sometimes I do get curious, like, I wonder how it would be. But then I'm always like, yeah, no, I don't see that as enjoyable, And I might change my mind. Everything is fluid. But I find that there isn't enough understanding in society for asexual people. And so I even find that I am on the aromantic spectrum because I don't really feel like I want to do romantic things very often. I do read romance novels sometimes, and I understand what is going on, and sometimes I feel a little bit of the flutters and all that, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what he will do next, and in this fictional relationship in this book in my mind. And I was part of the John Watson and Sherlock Holmes fanfiction fandom, so obviously I'm interested in romance in that theoretical way that doesn't involve me, right? Because I find love to be a beautiful thing, and romantic love to be a beautiful thing, and I do read sexual things, so I do find it to be beautiful things conceptually. But for me to take part in it, I'm like, nah, I don't feel it. And it's so awful because I get pressured from everybody. That's kind of the feeling, is like I'm pressured by the entirety of society, even the people closest to me and the people on my channel and everything. There is such a pressure. And yes, part of it might be imagined pressure. But the imagined pressure doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from the fact that I'm seeing everybody I know getting into long-term relationships with people, or dating, having sex, getting married, all these things. And so there are people who are asexual on the asexual spectrum, but they don't tell me about it. And also those who do are kind of in long-term relationships themselves, and so they say, yeah, so I have sex because my partner likes it, and it helps me to get close to my partner. That's the kind of thing I've heard from the one asexual friend I have. I've seen also people online talk about how they're on the asexual spectrum, but they're in a long-term relationship as well. Or people who, so I feel really alone in being an asexual, aromantic person on the aromantic spectrum that is not in a relationship and is not super interested in having one. The thing that would be nice though, if I were in a relationship, would be, like I could have a roommate that understands me, which would save me money, really. Also, I would have somebody who would want to maybe follow me on certain activities, like a really good best friend, what I really want is a best friend. And some people do see their relationships as just like a really good best friend. And they don't call themselves asexual or aromantic because of it. But I think that it's not the same as what I'm experiencing. I think that, yeah, I don't experience attraction, in that way. I do want to not be alone, and I want to be able to share things with a person, and by things I mean like ideas, thoughts, and material things, and share my care and love with that person. But I don't want to share sexual encounters with that person, and I don't want to do romantic things with the person. I don't want to kiss a person, I do have some trauma there where like the person who kissed me was just some random guy on the street, and I did not like it, so that is my frame of reference is very, very small. But just because I haven't tried it yet doesn't mean that I will like it, it's kind of like that if everybody suddenly, if everybody was eating snails, I like, you go to France and you come to a culture where people like eating snails, but like snails are like a big part of the diet in this imaginary place. And it's like, yeah, so you don't need to have tried snails to know that you probably would dislike it if you've tried something similar like calamari or I don't know, and also that's not even a good example because sex is so much more complicated than just like liking a food or not, because like having sex is a much bigger thing. I don't understand how everybody is like, this isn't a big thing. It is a big thing. So it was very confusing to me understanding that my friends were having sex. When I was 18, I was like, wait, so people are having sex? Like, I was very confused. It came, I started realizing like, wow, all of my friends are having sex and I'm not. And, I guess that you can't miss something that you haven't done, but I don't know. And so I am aware that I'm being very, very naive to post this on the internet for everybody to see. And for, and I might change my mind and then I'll look back at this video and I'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? But I think that it's important for me to put this video out because there might be somebody out there who is like, oh wow, I'm not alone. And might not feel so alienated by the world, because I feel like this is very, very strange experience being here. Yeah, so this is the church bells. It has been going on for a long time now. Oh, finally. Yeah, I'm not asexual due to the church. I'm not celibate. It's not like I chose to be like this. I just am. And so I think that it's difficult for other people to understand this, because we all have such different experiences. It's just, I think that, it's like, it's a bit shameful to talk about this. Because it's like, oh, you're not a real person if you're not having sex, and if you're not in, like, going on dates and trying to be in a relationship. And so I've thought, am I thinking too much into this? Is it my version of what romantic relationship is, maybe is too narrow of a definition? A lot of people who have been in marriages and stuff have, not done any romantic things and not done sexual things or whatever. However, I do think that there is something there of, like, there needs to be an attraction. Unless you're in an arranged marriage or something, but I keep hearing people talk about love, romantic love, in a way that I am not familiar with and not understanding. And so this is a very difficult topic for me to talk about. And so I hope that you are nice in the comments. If not, I will delete the comment, and yeah, depending on how bad the comment is, I might also block you. But I don't really do much of that nowadays, actually. I don't know if it's because YouTube algorithm, like, sanitizes the comment section of my videos. It might be that. But also, I won't take it badly if you tell me, like, oh, but you should try it, that kind of thing. It's like, it's fine. You can say what you want, really. It's just, I don't accept if people are, like, questioning, my idea of myself. Because, yeah, so I don't know really about what I feel about this. But you definitely don't know, because you're just a person who doesn't know me, so that's the difference between, just having philosophical conversation in the comments. That's fine, but there comes a point where I get to decide if you are way out of line or not. That's the reason why I have a hard time right now with figuring out, am I on the LGBTQIA+ community? There's also, there was a label that I found back when, in 2015, which I think still kind of applies, which was quoisexual, like quoi, like what. It was also called what the fuck sexual, which, WTF sexual, which, by the way, still applies, which is basically a confusion of what sexual attraction and romantic attraction and platonic attraction, where the line goes, and knowing what it is. So you can be quoiromantic, you can be quoisexual, you can be what the fuck sexual, what the fuck romantic. I do relate to being quoiromantic, because I don't know really where the line between friendship and romantic relationship goes. I remember watching when Marnie was here and being like, oh look, like, I was like, it's like they're gay, okay? It's not gay, disclaimer. It is a spoiler, but they are not gay. But when Marnie was there, and so I was watching it with my best friend at the time, and he was like, yeah, but that's what we have between ourselves. And I was like, wait, but when they're doing it, it seems romantic. And he was like, well, what we have isn't romantic. And I was like, what is this? You know? But it was clearly not romantic because he was only into guys. So I have to just say that I am completely confused about what is attraction, because I don't think that I experience it, you know, but I'm not sure, but I don't think so, because from the way that everybody else is explaining and describing love in different forms, people seem to have a natural intuitive idea of what it is. Well, for me, it doesn't seem like it, and it might be because I've never experienced it, but it's also because I am confused in these matters. So, yeah, have a great day, everybody. Bye.